uncomfortable when I was trying to implement tough policies on trade in China. So you got like this 1-2 punch there, and then the fish rots from the head down, right? Because you have all of these people who are like the typical never Trumpers who were in there. And the beef that the Trump campaign came out with this week, they just finally threw up their hands and say, hey, AFPI, you're using the Trump brand to raise money, and that's taking money away from the Trump presidential campaign. Oh, and by the way, please stop thinking you're grooming people for the new Trump administration. And good for Susie Wiles and La Safita at the campaign for calling them out on that. And what I'm calling AFPI out on today is simply this. Brooke, just fold that organization up. It may have served a purpose, maybe, over the last year or so, but you're not needed now. Nobody in that thing is needed right now. The Trump campaign has command of the policies and the messaging. They don't need you. And all you're doing is taking money away from the Trump campaign that could be used to elect our next president and using it. And I just hate it when the swamp people do this, the swamp creatures. They just giving a bunch of money, too much money, to people who don't need the money and paying too much rent and just wasting. It's just pure deep swamp stuff. So, Brooke, love you dearly, but it's time to fold that shop up right now because your efforts are not needed right now. The Heritage Institute is a very different situation in a way. Heritage has been around forever. And going back to the 2016 campaign, Heritage was a strong opponent of Donald Trump, primarily because of the stuff I was most involved with, which was the trade issues and the tariffs on China, and secondarily, the securing our southern border. And the problem, and this is a case where the fish rots from the core out, because the core problem with Heritage is that it relies on dark money from people like the Koch network, all the globalists, rhinos who want to ship our jobs offshore, and they're natural enemies of Trump, right? So they went through this exercise. They have a new CEO. I like the direction he's trying to take the Heritage, but let's be real here. You can't have an organization which is funded primarily by rhino globalist Koch network type money and expect it to be fully supportive of Trump. And the one story I tell that kind of said it all to me is this. They reached out to me, I don't know, it was over a year ago. They were working on a policy book, which, as it was presented to me, was designed to reflect what President Trump policies would be in a second term, or what they should be. And they wanted me to do the trade chapter, I think for obvious reasons. And I dutifully did my duty there. I sent the thing in, and the trade chapter reflected everything that President Trump stands for. You know, tough tariffs on China to offset their cheating, dealing with countries like Germany and Vietnam, which are robbing us blind in other ways. And the funny part of the whole thing is, as this thing was getting ready to go to press and gone through the editorials, they go, oh, and by the way, we had somebody write a rebuttal chapter to you. And the title of that chapter is The Case for Free Trade. And I'm going, wait a minute. You're supposed to be doing a book that's reflective of the new Republican Party led by Trump, who has never said the word fair trade except in vain, excuse me, he never said the word free trade except in vain, and has always supported fair trade. That's Donald Trump. Fair trade. Donald Trump. Fair trade. Free trade is the globalist rhino mantra to send our jobs offshore, send our factories offshore, keep your wages down here. And so, so he said, okay, you're going to do the chapter, you're going to call it the case for free trade. Well, then call mine the case for fair trade. It would be done. So it was like, you got to be kidding me. And to me, that was the tell in the Heritage Con game there, because they're still grappling with their internal divisions, and they're doing the same kind of thing that the AFPI Brooke Rollins monstrosity Kudlow thing is trying to do. Is like they're measuring drapes in the White House, thinking that they're going to put their people in and control the policies of Donald Trump. That's a fantasy, okay? That's a fantasy. They tried that in 2016 during the transition, and Trump just get out of here. And he's going to say the same thing again. So it would be nice to have a think tank in Washington, D.C. that was a legitimate think tank reflective of MAGA policies. But it ain't Heritage. It ain't AFPI. It's not, certainly not the American Enterprise Institute, certainly not the Cato Institute. It's certainly not the Peterson Institute, all of which are putatively kind of Republican, but they're not. They're rhinos, okay? So just as this thing unfolds, just keep your eye open. And if you want, call AFPI. Tell them you want them to shut it down because they're not MAGA. All right. Let's bring in Rogan now. And Rogan Hanley, DC Drano is his handle on Twitter, Getter, and Truth Social. Rogan, my brother, will you prefer to be called DC Drano or Rogan? Tell me.
You can call me either, whatever comes out, Doctor.
All right, brother. Let's go with Rogan because of my affection for the Irish. So here's the thing. Let's start with Mike Johnson, the new speaker, and this decision this week to do something which basically kicked the can down the road for another 60 days, and frankly upset a lot of people in the posse. Is he okay? I'll give you some options here, multiple choice. Is he just dumb and getting outwitted? Is he kind of Kevin McCarthy with a Southern drawl? None of the above. What's going on here?
I think he's none of the above thus far. You know, I equate it to the first tee off in a golf match. A lot of times you get a mulligan on that first one. You may not be as warmed up, and you know, I do give him a little bit of leniency for the fact that he was thrown into being Speaker of the House, which I think is one of the hardest jobs in America. And he had only a few weeks to completely transform how Washington spends its money. We are let down by what he did. Let's you know, not blow any smoke here. We are let down. On the upside, no Ukraine funding, no Israel funding. On the downside, no spending cuts. And we put him in there, and we stood in the breach with Matt Gaetz because we wanted Washington to be transformed. The debt is out of control, and you can rattle off these numbers better than me, but we have a $2 trillion deficit. They can barely sell these treasury bonds without jacking up the rates. Janet Yellen is over kowtowing to Xi Jinping, bending the knee, saying we need good economic relations with China because she wants them to actually buy these treasury bonds next time around. And, you know, we're paying upwards of over $1 trillion in debt per year when we only have about 4.4 trillion in annual tax revenue. So, you know, 25%, give or take, is going right to debt repayment. So we need massive spending cuts and spending reform. We need to rein DC in. Mike Johnson did not get it done in his first month. I'm a Mike Johnson guy. I know Bannon. I know some others they are. But the honeymoon is over, and we are going to be expecting from now until that 60 days is up major steps to transform how DC spends its money. Otherwise, I have a feeling after that 60 days, if he doesn't come up with spending cuts, he's going to lose the majority of his support in the base.
Rogan, who's his inner circle? And are they the kind of people that we'd like to have around him that will carry the MAGA agenda? Or how's it working? Do you have any insight into that? I don't know how your process works. I want to talk a little bit about that in a bit. But what are you hearing, seeing? Is he like a lone wolf, or who's he listened to?
Well, I think right now there is a transition period, right? So we have seen some positive steps. He fired a national security counsel for Kevin McCarthy. Brian Costello brought this up, that actually shut down some of the Sequoia Capital investigations, right? So he had all the information about it, and he coordinated with McCarthy to shut down Sequoia. I know that another one of McCarthy's staffers in the speaker office was recently fired, a female. So, I mean, there is this transition period. I do know that he has met with some of our Freedom Caucus congressional representatives and is listening to them on their ideas and their policies. You know, he hasn't really thrown any sharp elbows in either direction yet. He's just generally been the nice guys working and talking with everybody. Everyone's kind of, in a wait and see approach. As for his, internal staff, I saw an article about.
Could that be the problem? He's just too nice a guy for this job.
That could be. I do want to give him a little bit of more time. I posted a video after he represented Trump during one of the impeachments, got the acquittal, and he was standing right outside Nancy Pelosi's plaque on her door, and he held up the newspaper and said acquitted, and he looked and winked, to the camera. I think he's got that dog in him, as we say. But there's a lot of gears and controls and buttons to get a grasp on. And, 60 days, and no Ukraine funding. Hey, that's an improvement. Every single bill that Kevin McCarthy passed had Ukraine funding. So we do have that one improvement. Right now they're trying to tie in the Ukraine and Israel funding together. I don't think I hope that doesn't happen.
I'll be honest with you. If I had to choose between no Ukraine funding and significant budget cutbacks, I choose budget cutbacks every time, because the Ukraine funding, as large as it is and as much as it's screwing American taxpayers, it's a rounding error compared to $2 trillion. And so, that doesn't appease me. In terms of his inner staff, I mean, who's he listening to?
I've heard some things I can't disclose on the show, but I have heard there is going to be some good things coming down the road. I hope that his plan is, hey, we didn't get everything we wanted. We didn't get a lot of what we wanted on this CR, but hopefully he's going to release the J6 tapes. I know that that's in the works from what I'm hearing, but, believe it when I see it.
McCarthy sat on those, right? McCarthy had them all. Wouldn't give them to Tucker, and that was it. Did he give all of them to Tucker?
Not to my knowledge, no. I think they've been holding these back. The thing is, it's good politics to release this stuff. They think it's, we don't want to talk about J6 and the election. No, it's good politics to expose that this was a setup, to expose that it was Nancy Pelosi, to expose the election fraud. But, one of the biggest letdowns, and I saw Mike Cernovich talking about this, is, we've fully funded this FBI so far and this DOJ that has gone after not only President Trump and the J6ers, but also pro-life protesters, soccer moms protesting at school board meetings. I mean, there needs to be some serious hammering over this next 60 days. So, Mike Johnson, like I said, I like him, but this next 60 days is the gut check time. And if he can come through and get us some wins, I think he'll have a lot more wind in his sails going into the rest of 2024. And here's another positive. He supported and endorses President Trump, right? Kevin McCarthy, in the 9 months he's been in, even though Trump kind of helped him behind the scenes, never said that. So I do give him some credit. He has kind of gone out there and with his Christian biblical worldview, but we want the spending cuts, we want the J6 tapes, and we want to hold this weaponized government accountable.
Well, the three parts of these moving pieces. You got the budget piece, but you got Mike Gallagher running the communist China investigation. That seems to be going nowhere fast. And then you got judiciary not really doing a good job at all on the weaponization that you mentioned. It's like, for me, it's like, look, it's all well and good to go after Hunter Biden and Joe Biden through judiciary. But for me, the bigger issue are the school board people, the people like Steve, who the DOJ went after, and like literally everybody, and I served with in the White House that I know of who was actually pro-Trump, has been subpoenaed or indicted or something. And that's but there's been just virtually no movement on any of that. The Congress has left this whole issue of executive privilege totally alone. It seems like they totally ignored what's going on. And by the way, the only reason why Trump is being investigated by Jack Smith is because Kevin McCarthy let that J6 committee get started to begin with and act illegally as a judiciary instead of a legislative branch. So a lot of stuff going on. Talk to me a little bit. It's kind of fun. It's like, back in the day, I always like to study how writers did their craft and stuff like that. Writing their op-eds or their books or whatever. And you are kind of like the vanguard of this whole new media. It's like the 250-word haiku on social media. And I was just kind of curious, maybe to share with the viewers here and the listeners, what your process is. What's a day in the life of Rogan look like? What do you read? What do you look at? When do you start doing your stuff? Can you just maybe share a little bit of that?
Yeah, President Trump was joking at one of his rallies in West Palm a few weeks ago. He gave me a shout out. I was very appreciative of it. He's like, these guys are brilliant. I don't know what they do. Do they do it from their couch? Like what? I don't know how they do this. I basically just turned my kind of news addiction into a career of sorts. I mean, what drove me to do this was seeing Marxism banging on the door when I was a Hollywood attorney in 2017, for years before that. And I said, I got to support President Trump. I got to help this guy. And I believe that memes are the most effective form of communication that exists, right? It's a digital political cartoon. But if you look at a meme that you saw 10 years ago, right, you would say, oh, I've seen this meme. But if you showed me one of my own tweets from a week ago, I'd be like, yeah, I kind of remember that. Maybe that was me, So that's the power of memes. They call it meme warfare. And, I look and I try and see what isn't being said that needs to be said, or what is the 1, 2, or 3 issues that the left is focusing on, or what things does President Trump or Matt Gaetz or some of these America First wars, what do they need help on? And that's where I try and allocate eyeballs and attention, and I try and give people talking points that I think are effective. And I will say, I do believe.
Where do you start with that, bro? Like, what time do you get up in the morning? What do you start doing? Do you what is it? What do you read? The newspapers, the digitals, the websites, the Drudge, the this, the that? How do you get your information to sort out, to figure out what's important, what's not, what they're missing? Walk me through that.
I mean, I get a lot from War Room. I'll tell you that. I love, I don't do a lot of news hits these days, only War Room, but I'm usually up around 6:30, and I'm, boom, right on my phone, getting all the information. I do look at Drudge. Obviously don't like him as much as I used to. I love looking at CNN, MSNBC, Twitter. I follow a bunch of leftists. I mean, I want to see what they're angry about, or what they do. They block us out. They either block us or jump off the platform or ignore us. I love looking at what they're saying so that I can tackle it aggressively. So I can go boom right into it. They're saying Trump said this. No, it's boom. It's this. But yeah, I mean, I listen, to YouTube podcasts. You get a lot of information. You follow enough good people on social media, you get the daily news. When I watch Fox News, not that I do, but when it happens to come on, you're just reading, or you're just hearing about tweets you saw 5 hours ago anyway. So I think X and Truth is amazing. Getter, you get the most up-to-date, current, no BS spin on those platforms, and then I just provide my own angle. I provide my own thoughts, and I tell people I try to throw punches with words. That's just kind of my style.
We got about 60 seconds left, so this would be a great time to give all your social media handles and coordinates.
Yep, at DC Drano on everything. Stands for Drain the DC Swamp. And one point I did want to bring up from earlier, we were talking about some of the silver linings, what Mike Johnson has done. Gallagher on the Chinese committee, he did send a letter requesting documents from Sequoia Capital, that happened after McCarthy, and James Comer too. He finally sent out those Hunter Biden subpoenas. So as tough as this CR pill has been to swallow, I do see some glimmers of hope, and I'm hoping that in the next 2 or 3 months, Mike Johnson really steps up to the plate and impresses us. And release those J6 tapes, Mr. Speaker.
All right, my brother. You take care of yourself. I'm following you. I keep watching, and I love what you're doing, brother. You keep throwing those jabs.
Thank you, Doctor. Got your back.
All right, my brother. Okay, in the next part of the show, we're going to bring in Brad Thayer and Jim Fennell to talk about communist China. They came, they saw, they conquered here in San Francisco. And we're going to tell you what the real agenda was. This is Peter K. Navarro in for the Admiral. K. Bannon. Stay with me. Right back.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our biggest Christmas sale ever. You get our brand new 6-piece My Towels for only $29.98, or rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper as low as $99.99. Or how about MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $24.98? There's something for everyone. Duvets, quilts, down comforters, body pillows, bolster pillows, and so much more. Well, I know MyPillow products make for the perfect Christmas gifts, so I'm going to extend my money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2024. So go to MyPillow.com now or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you get our 6-piece towels for only $29.98. Or get your very own MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $24.98. It's our biggest Christmas sale ever. Get all your shopping done now while quantities last. Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm excited to announce my new product, My Coffee. I get products all the time from entrepreneurs for my new platform, mystore.com. And when I tried My Coffee for the first time, I was blown away. It is the best coffee I've ever had in my life. I spent the last 4 months doing my due diligence, and this family-owned business micromanages every step from the fields to the cup to ensure the best quality coffee you're ever going to have. It starts with the beans that are grown in Honduras. Honduras's volcanic soil and humid climate make the perfect growing conditions for coffee plants, which produce the best beans ever. Then each batch is tested for its aroma, taste, and other aspects to meet the highest standards in the coffee industry. And after that, it goes into production, which is all done right here in the USA. It's like you're getting that small batch specialty coffee, but delivered right to your front door. So go to mystore.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code and you'll get your very own My Coffee for 25% off. You guys all know that I've traveled the country for the past year and a half. I've stayed in hundreds of hotels. I've tried every coffee out there. Well, some of the coffees have that terrible aftertaste, some that leave me jittery, or I get an upset stomach. Well, My Coffee is different. It's the richest, smoothest, best coffee I've ever had. My Coffee comes in a variety of flavors. You get them ground or whole bean. Plus, it's certified organic and non-GMO. I guarantee it'll be the best coffee you've ever had. So go to mystore.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code and you'll get My Coffee for 25% off. And I'm going to give you deep discounts on all my store products. That's mystore.com. It's my new platform for USA entrepreneurs. Please order now. My Towels solved a problem that we've all had with towels. You go into the stores and they feel lotiony and soft, but then you get them home and they wind dry you. That's why I made My Towels. They actually work, they're soft, and they absorb. And now I'm excited to announce 2 brand new lines of My Towels. What makes them the best towels ever is they're now made with 100%